The Sassanid Empire, the last great flame of Persia. In the year 224 CE, a powerful movement began in Persia, one that would revive the ancient glory of the Achaemenids and reshape the Middle East for over 4 centuries. This was the birth of the Sassanid Empire, founded by Ardashir I, a man who rose from the shadows of a crumbling Parthian kingdom to forge one of the most advanced empires of the ancient world. The Sassanid dynasty took its name from Sazan, Ardashir's ancestor, a Zoroastrian high priest whose lineage became the spiritual and political foundation of the empire. When Ardashir defeated the last Parthian king, Artabanus IV, he declared himself King of Kings of Iran and non-Iran, reviving the imperial ideals of Cyrus the Great and Darius I. From its capital at Ctesiphon, near modern-day Baghdad, the Sassanid Empire ruled a vast and diverse realm, stretching from the Indus Valley in the east to the Byzantine frontiers in the west, and from the Caucasus Mountains to the Arabian deserts. A revival of Persian identity. The Sassanids saw themselves as the true heirs of the ancient Persian kings, and they sought to restore Iranian culture, religion, and administration to their former grandeur. Zoroastrianism became the state religion, and its sacred fire temples burned across the empire as symbols of divine purity. The Avesta, the holy book of Zoroastrians, was compiled and promoted under royal patronage. Art, architecture, and learning flourished. Magnificent palaces like those at Firuzabad and Ctesiphon showcased grand domes and stone reliefs that told stories of kings, gods, and cosmic battles. The Sassanid craftsmen became legendary for their silverwork, textiles, and intricate mosaics, many of which influenced later Islamic art. The Empire of Order and Power. The Sassanids established a centralized bureaucracy, divided into provinces governed by nobles loyal to the throne. They developed an efficient taxation system, a professional army, and a network of roads that connected the empire's cities and trade routes, linking China and India with the Roman and Byzantine worlds. The military tactics of the Sassanid Empire, the lion and the bow. The Sassanid army was the shield of Persia and the terror of Rome, a disciplined force that blended the traditions of ancient Iran with the innovations of a rising empire. For over 4 centuries, it stood as one of the most formidable militaries of the ancient world. At its heart rode the Sovereign, the elite Persian cavalry, armored knights whose horses were draped in steel and silk. These warriors charged like thunder across the plains, lances lowered, crushing enemy lines with the sheer weight of their assault. Yet they were not reckless, their movements were guided by strategy, precision, and the wisdom of centuries. Behind them stood the archers, masters of the composite bow, light, curved, and deadly accurate. They could strike from horseback or foot, showering the battlefield with arrows that broke enemy formations before the cavalry's charge. The Sassanids used these ranged attacks to weaken their foes, then unleashed the Sovereign to finish the battle in a storm of speed and steel. They also mastered the art of defense. Along the empire's vast borders rose networks of fortresses and frontier walls, a chain of stone guardians watching over the deserts and mountains. The Sassanids were experts in siege warfare, using catapults, battering rams, and tunnels to bring down even the strongest cities. Intelligence and deception were weapons too. Persian commanders used feigned retreats to lure Roman legions into traps, then encircled them with cavalry from both wings, a tactic that shattered many imperial armies. Discipline, organization, and faith. The Sassanid Empire's greatest and most persistent rival was the Roman Empire, and later its eastern successor, the Byzantine Empire. The two superpowers fought countless wars over control of Mesopotamia, Armenia, and Syria. Under Shapur I, the Sassanids achieved a stunning victory, capturing the Roman Emperor Valerian in 260 CE, the only Roman emperor ever taken prisoner alive. His defeat sent shockwaves across the Mediterranean world. For centuries, the struggle between Persia and Rome continued, draining both empires. Yet, despite these wars, trade and diplomacy often coexisted alongside conflict. Merchants, scholars, and artisans crossed the borders, spreading knowledge and culture between East and West. Golden Age under Khosrow I. The height of Sassanid civilization came under Khosrow I, also known as Anushirvan the Just, 531 to 579 CE. He reformed the taxation system, promoted justice, and supported philosophy and science. The great academy of Gundashapur became a center of learning that attracted Greek, Indian, and Syrian scholars, preserving and expanding the world's knowledge in medicine, mathematics, and astronomy. Under Khosrow, the empire reached its zenith, powerful, cultured, and respected. His reign was remembered as a golden age of prosperity and intellectual brilliance.
Culture, people and art. The people of the Sassanid Empire were a blend of Persians, Armenians, Arabs, and other ethnic groups who lived under a structured but flourishing society. The nobility and priesthood held high status, while farmers, artisans, and traders formed the backbone of daily life. Art and architecture reflected grandeur and symbolism. Stone reliefs at Nakshi Rustem and Taki, Boston, depicted royal victories and divine blessings. Sassanid silver plates, decorated with scenes of hunting and feasting, became famous worldwide. Clothing was luxurious and carefully designed. Men often wore long robes with belts and tall headdresses, while women dressed in richly embroidered gowns adorned with jewelry. Silk and fine wool were common among the wealthy, while bright colors and patterned fabrics symbolized rank and taste. Music, poetry, and storytelling thrived in the royal courts. Minstrels and poets were celebrated, and tales from this era later inspired works such as the Persian epic, the Shahnameh. The Sassanids' cultural sophistication would later shape the identity of Islamic Persia and influence art and courtly life across Asia and Europe. Women in the Sassanid Empire. In the Sassanid Empire, women lived in a world shaped by faith, family, and the fire of Zoroastrian law. Society was deeply patriarchal, yet within its structure, women held roles that could wield remarkable influence. Among the noble and royal classes, women could own property, manage estates, and even appear in legal contracts under their own names. Some princesses and queens, like Queen Deneg and Borondukht, ruled as regents or even as monarchs in their own right, rare but not impossible in the Empire of Persia. Marriage was both a sacred duty and a social contract. Zoroastrian law permitted arranged marriages, yet it also recognized a woman's right to inherit property and receive financial support after her husband's death. Widows could manage wealth, and dowries were protected by law. In elite families, women often acted as custodians of lineage and faith, ensuring religious rituals were kept pure and fire altars remained tended. However, not all was equality. The Sassanid legal system treated women as subordinate in most civil matters. Polygamy was allowed, and women's testimony in court carried less weight than that of men. Lower-class women, especially those in rural areas, had few legal protections, their lives bound to household labor and survival. Yet traces of power endured. In art and reliefs, noble women appear beside kings, crowned and veiled, their presence symbolizing divine order and royal legitimacy. In the twilight of the Sassanid world, before the Arab conquest, Persian women still carried the echo of ancient queens, figures of devotion, strength, and endurance who kept the flame of empire alive within their homes and hearts.
The last glory and the fall. After Khosrow I, the empire entered a period of instability and devastating wars with Byzantium. Under Khosrow II, Persia achieved one last moment of triumph, capturing Jerusalem in Egypt in the early 7th century. Yet these victories were short-lived. By 628 CE, civil wars and exhaustion had weakened the state. When the Arab-Muslim armies emerged from the Arabian Peninsula, the once mighty Sassanid Empire could no longer resist. In 651 CE, with the death of Yazdijerd III, the last Sassanid king, the empire fell, ending over 400 years of Persian imperial rule. The Sassanid Empire was gone, but its spirit lived on. The Islamic caliphates that followed adopted much from Persian administration, art, and culture. The idea of kingship, the architecture of domes, the systems of governance, and the philosophy of justice, all bore the Sassanid imprint. The Sassanids were the bridge between the ancient and the medieval, between the Zoroastrian fire and the coming of Islam, the final flame of ancient Persia that burned brightly until the dawn of a new age.